Good evening, members of District 82 and all our dear guests who have joined in the Pathways Training May edition. We warmly welcome all of you to yet another training program organized by the Program Quality Team of District 82. Now, throughout the last 10 months or so, we have been conducting all these programs just for the benefit of our members. And since we have gone through all of the basics of pathways about how to do your projects, the different ways of how to organize your speech, how to use your voice, the art of storytelling, and a variety of other topics, we have now shifted to something a little bit more relatable to all of us. What are we really gaining out of our Pathways experience and our Toastmasters journey? Now, all the previous sessions have been recorded and have already been uploaded on the District 82 YouTube page. So to all of you who are not able to join in our other sessions, the links will also be posted on the chat right now. Right, so today we have two very different sessions for you. Something that maybe we have not really thought about, but of great importance. We Toastmasters boast about Toastmasters is where leaders are made. But we also shy away from the fact of taking up responsibilities in our club. Now, we sometimes wonder, what do these meeting roles or these different executive committee roles really have to do with improving our career or any part of our career that we are in right now? Does it really make a difference? And to answer these questions, we have two distinguished Toastmasters to talk about how the executive committee roles of president and vice president education and also the different meeting roles will help you grow in your career. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you will have a Q&A option, which you can send in all your questions that you have, and we will answer those questions during the Q&A portion of this program. Let me first introduce our first speaker for today, distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi Randeni. She is the Deputy General Manager, Group Business Development and Sustainability at Aking Spence PLC. Yasangi counts for over 10 years of experience, having worked in sustainability policy and framework development, sustainability performance, reporting. Yasangi represents Aking Spence in the steering committee of the UN Global Compact Sri Lanka Network. Accordingly, she manages Aking Spence's leadership on the Working Group for Human Rights at the workplace and also participates in the Working Group for Gender Equality in the UN Global Compact Network, Sri Lanka. She is also a member of the private sector consultation platform of the Asia Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management and was also recently appointed as a director on the board of CSR Sri Lanka. As an avid Toastmaster, a proud member of Aking Spence Toastmasters Club, distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi is a past chairperson of the Toastmasters Leadership Institute for Sri Lanka and a past area director for Area C2 of District 82 in Toastmasters International. Distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi is here to show us how we can allow our inner CEO and CHRO to shine. Distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi, over to you.
Thank you, DTM Lasni. I hope I am audible and visible to everyone.
Yes, DTM Yasangi.
Thank you. Great to be here speaking to fellow Toastmasters of District 82. Now, before we begin, I would like to take a quick poll to see who is here with us in the audience. Zoom Master, can we have the first poll now? And if we can take a quick minute to get the responses from the audience to the first poll. So you will see on your screen the first poll that we have for you. So take a quick 30 seconds to quickly look at the options that are given to you. The first one is pick the statement that is most accurate for you. Have you been a club president or are you currently the club president? Have you been a VP of education or are you currently the VP of education? Have you been have you played both roles in your club? Are you in the exco but not yet up to the VPE or president role? Or have you never been in the exco? And then uh, how long have you been in Toastmasters? So let's take about, let's say 20 seconds, Myri, and we can close the poll. So I would like to ask all participants to quickly give your responses to this poll. So we do have a mixed audience today. We have some members who have been either the president or the VPE, and some members who have done both roles, some members who are in the exco, and a large majority, I think, well, not a majority, and also 50% in the audience have never been in the exco. And I think 47% of the audience has been in Toastmasters for less than a year. Okay, interesting statistics. So for those of you who don't know me, as Lasny introduced you, I'm from Aiken Spence Toastmasters, and I joined Toastmasters in 2012. Now, at that time, Smedley and Appy Toastmasters clubs had conducted the Speechcraft program for us, and we enjoyed it so much that we decided to form our own club. And I was among the charter members. So when we formed the club, I joined because I thought it would be fun and it would help me speak better. Not that I had any difficulty in speaking, but speaking more eloquently, speaking more professionally, and getting to the point were challenges that I had. And I knew that Toastmasters was one place that I could definitely improve my communication. And in my line of work, it's an essential skill. But that first year, I didn't really think much of the Toastmasters experience beyond that of communication. I took on roles because the VP education at the time said I must. And I joined the EXCO as a secretary in the Charter Executive Committee because my boss was the charter president and he said that I had to. And that is how I got into the EXCO when I was a new Toastmaster back in 2012. And then one day, I was invited to attend an installation ceremony in our area. If I'm not mistaken, that was at Hema's Toastmasters. At that time, DTM Yusuf Jiwanji was the district governor. And he addressed the gathering as the chief guest at that installation ceremony. Now, DTM Jiwanji is the chairman of his very own successful group of companies. That day, he said something that I found very interesting, and this stuck with me. He said that leading a Toastmasters club as its president is like managing a company as its chairman. And being the VP education is like being the company's chief human resource officer. And he went on to explain how each role gives experience in different leadership positions that are very similar to either the C-suite of your company or the senior management of a company. And he said that all those experiences groom you to be a better leader. That definitely made an impression on me because he's absolutely right. All those roles that we take on at the club as the exco, especially the role of the VP education and president, and how we fulfill those roles with commitment, give us a foundation to be better leaders. I will elaborate a little bit. Now, a CEO in a company is in charge of managing the organization and leading the organization to achieve their vision and to fulfill the company's purpose. We have a club president who is in charge of managing the club's goals and taking that team forward to achieve the club's goals. The CEO is the corporate executive in charge of managing the organization, like I said. It's the highest ranking officer in the organization, responsible to lead the organization, to make sure that roles and responsibilities are assigned properly, to make decisions for the company. And very similarly, the president is also the highest ranking officer in the exco, responsible to lead the club, to delegate, assign roles, and to make sure that all the exco members and the members of the club work together to achieve the goals. So, in a very summarized version, a CEO, highest ranking officer, leads and manages your company's vision, mission, and how you achieve it. You plan and implement strategies to achieve your goals. And similarly, your club's president is also the highest ranking officer, leads and manages the club's goals and vision, and plans and implements strategies. Now let's take a look at the CHRO, or the Chief Human Resources Officer. A CHRO is the executive officer in the C-suite who is supposed to manage all aspects related to the human resources of the company. And a CHRO is in charge of the talent strategy of the company, planning and supporting assignment of roles, recruitment, manpower, responsibility to build required skills within the organization, making sure the required skills are in the right place at the right time. All of that comes under the CHRO's belt. And if you look at the VP Education, the VP is also in charge of the educational goals of the club, plans and support the execution of the club meetings, identifies educational needs, plans programs, and works with the rest of the club officers to plan membership in a way that builds the club experience. With VP membership to get the right members in, with VP PR to create awareness about what's happening, similar to how a lot of leadership positions come together in a company to achieve your goals. So again, in a nutshell, this is your CHRO, in charge of the talent strategies of the company and supporting the company to achieve the goals through the skills that the company requires. And your VPE does a very similar job. Now, my point is not to show just the textbook similarities between these roles. What left an impression with me is how I look at Toastmasters and the experience that Toastmasters gave me. Because when I listened to DTM Jivanji at that installation ceremony, I was an assistant manager in the company. Smaller team, smaller set of responsibilities. But with the years in the company, I was given more responsibilities. My team grew, my responsibilities grew. And how I managed situations was influenced by how I managed the different responsibilities that I handled at the Toastmasters Club. Because when I was appointed as the VP Education of my home club, I took on the role as if I was the club's CHRO. I had to make sure that I understood the educational needs of our club members. I had to make sure that I knew what my targets were, what my deadlines were, what kind of capacities that we had in the club, where I had to fill the capacity needs, where we need to build skills within the club members to achieve those educational goals. So I approached my role as a VP Education as a CHRO. And that year, coincidentally, by working closely with the president of the club, we managed to get Dhananjay Hettiarachchi to visit our club that year. So the Toastmasters Club, needless to say, got a lot of attention that year. And eventually, when I was appointed as the president of the club, I looked at the company as our investors because we were getting funding from the company for our membership. All our resources, our meeting rooms, all the resources came from the company. So I treated the company as our investor. All our DCP points, any other achievements that we were supposed to achieve were my KPIs. And we got the team together, we worked together to make sure that we achieved whatever we set our sights on as our KPIs and our priorities. And we had a buffer of where we can let go of certain targets depending on where we had challenges, where we didn't meet timelines, because that is the norm. You will have certain challenges in achieving your targets, but there are certain targets that you cannot afford not to achieve. For my club, we decided that the DCP points and getting President's Distinguished Club was a target that we do not have the option of not achieving, because that is the KPI that we use when we go to the management to ask for funding for the next year. So we tackled the role of the president, the CHRO, and how we manage the club as if we were managing a company. And as I said, that experience influenced how I handled my role in the company. As an assistant manager to then a manager, then to an assistant general manager, and now to deputy general manager, my responsibilities have grown a lot. And I still use the experience that I got from the Toastmasters Club in how I approach that role for my company. When I give feedback, whether it's as the club president, VPE, or as the DGM in my role, I think about how to give evaluations the Toastmasters way. And speaking of experience, I want to now take a quick break to take another question or put across another question to you. Zoom Master, can we have the second poll? So let's take a quick 15 seconds to look at what is on your screen now. We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. And this is a quote by John Dewey. Do you agree with this statement or no? Quick 5 seconds. Give me a yes or no answer to this statement. We do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. 2 seconds. Zoom Master, can we have the results on the screen? 84% agrees, 16% seem to think otherwise. Perfectly all right. For me personally, this is a statement that I believe is very true as well. Because all of us take on different roles in the club, we do projects, we have our own individual journeys in Toastmasters. How we reflect on the experience that we have in Toastmasters is what defines our learning from Toastmasters as well. And that applies to your professional life also. Whether it's as the CEO or the CHRO of a company, whether it's as the club president or the VP education, whether it's managing a company or a small team working on a very small project. Channel your inner CEO, your inner CHRO. Because what differentiates high performing executives from everyone else is in their leadership. Your textbooks will teach you so many different things. Experience that you get both in your personal and professional lives, and how you reflect on your experiences grooms how you are as a leader. And what Toastmasters offers, what your positions as the VP education and president in your club offers, is the opportunity to instill those leadership qualities through hands-on experience. Because unlike at your workplace, in your club, everyone is volunteering their time. And it takes strong leadership and teamwork to get buy-in from your members, to get them on board to achieve the same goals that you have set for the club. Because if you try to boss them around, if you try to take a very authoritarian approach with your club members, chances are they will simply stop coming for the meetings. Or even the committed members who do come might not enjoy the meeting experience. Make sure that whatever experience that you give to your club members adds value to them, because when they see that value, nothing will keep them away from the Toastmasters experience. Similarly, in your professional life or your personal life, when you're managing something, whether it's an event at home or whether it's a target that you have to achieve at work, apply those learnings that you get from Toastmasters. The same learning, the same humble servant leader approach that you take in Toastmasters, if you apply that in your personal and professional lives as well, nothing can keep you from becoming the leader that you are meant to be. Because Toastmasters, and especially in playing roles as a Toastmasters leader, VP education, president, moving on to area director, and so on, it's a very humbling experience that teaches you valuable lessons in leadership. Because what we need is not just leadership, what we need is purposeful leadership. And this is something that our CEO or our deputy chairman at Aitken Spence tells us all the time, Dr. Parakrama Dissanayake. He always tells us that it's not just about leadership. We must lead with purpose. Employees need to understand what our purpose is. Because if they understand what that purpose is, they are more committed to achieving those goals. And the CHRO bridges the gap between the purpose and the company culture and all the resources that are available for company members to achieve those goals. Whether it's in your professional life, whether it's in your personal lives, whatever it is that you're managing, channel your inner CEO and CHRO. And it's also about asking the right questions, which Toastmasters again gives you a platform to experience and practice. What are we trying to achieve? What are the strengths of my team? Do I need to build their skills and capabilities to help them achieve those goals? What challenges do they have that prevents them from achieving their goals that I can help by planning educational sessions, exposing them to different experiences? And how can we convince our team members, our employees, anyone who is collaborating with you on a project or an event to get their buy-in to achieve the same goals? And what do we need to do to give confidence to our team members, whoever those team members may be, to achieve those goals? One needs to be a clever strategist to be able to plan your goals and to align your collective strengths around that purpose so that you can create value for everyone involved and not just achieve KPIs and targets and goals that are on a board somewhere that nobody really cares about. Because if you create value, that is where commitment is given in the long term. And especially in the digital age that we live in, we have access to a lot of information. It's like seeing a lot of dots on the air or seeing a lot of points and information that is available everywhere. Education will show you how to connect the dots, make sense of all that information in a way that adds value to you. And it's your experience that tells you how to, can you see that? Okay. How to connect the dots in a way that helps you achieve your goals and to help you decide where you can let go of certain things and what you can use as priorities to achieve your goals. And that wisdom comes from experience. And Toastmasters is a platform that gives you that hands-on experience in a very, very supportive environment. And if you're willing to reflect on your experiences and learn from them, and if you're willing to give your commitment to those roles, you will definitely see a difference in how you perform as a leader. Because for me personally, that definitely helped me. And if you're already someone who is very experienced in your line of work, as a CEO, maybe leading your own company, even if you're a director of a company, if you're someone who's already experienced as a CEO, CHRO, maybe another C-suite officer in your company, this is an opportunity that you have to lead by example. It is an opportunity for you to perhaps unlearn and learn new things. And it's also an opportunity, like I said, to lead by example and groom the next generation of leaders in your club. Because this is where you can bring in your experience from your professional life to the Toastmasters Club to share your experience for other people to learn, other members to learn, so that you set your benchmarks for everyone else to follow. If you set benchmarks, if you set standards, that becomes the norm for the rest of the club members, and that becomes how your company or your club operates, and that becomes culture. Your purpose and your culture together will help you achieve the goals that you have to achieve as a club. And it's that cyclic process that helps you learn from your experiences, that keeps you growing as an individual and as a professional. And there's a famous quote in Toastmasters that I want to share with you now. Zoom Master, can we have the third poll rather, or the third question that I have for the audience? No problem. I will just ask you the question instead. And the quote that I want to share with you is, if you get out of Toastmasters, all you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. Let me repeat that. If you get out of Toastmasters, all that you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. Maybe I can ask one of the panelists to answer me, since we will not be able to monitor all the answers that are coming in. So my question would be to one of the fellow panelists. Who said this? Was it DTM Arunachalam Balraj, the first Sri Lankan international president of Toastmasters International? Was it Helen Blanchard, DTM Helen Blanchard, the first female international president of Toastmasters International? Or was it DTM Ajanta Jayawardena, the past district director of District 82?
DTM Balraj.
Any other guesses?
We have one attendee who has raised their hand, so maybe they can put the answer in the chat. That way we can.
Okay, actually, the person, Shamali, has said that it's DTM Helen Blanchard, and Shamali is right. Thank you, Shamali. It is indeed a distinguished Toastmaster, Helen Blanchard, who said that if you get out of Toastmasters, all that you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. And all the panelists who are here today will tell you that all their individual experiences in the Toastmasters journey is what keeps them in Toastmasters still. That keeps us coming back for more learning, to learn more as we take on new roles. DTM Sriyanti is here, who is our PQD, and I believe she's a distinguished Toastmaster, I believe for the third time. Am I correct, DTM Sriyanti?
Yes, you're right, Yasangi.
Yes, because when you are really committed to reflecting on your experiences and to continue learning, there is no end to that journey. And as the motto of my alma mater says, Ancora imparo, which means I continue to learn, or I am yet learning. And for me, as a Toastmaster, I am still learning. Eventually, I will perhaps take on those roles again, because I feel with the changing times that we have all faced in the last couple of years, the dynamics have changed. There's a lot of reskilling that is happening. There's a lot of new learning that we can get, especially by playing Toastmasters roles, that I am very eager to learn as well. So I encourage all of you to take on those opportunities wherever those opportunities present themselves, especially as the VP Education and as the president of your respective clubs, because not only is it an opportunity for you to set benchmarks for your clubs, it is also an opportunity for you to discover your leadership style and to elevate your leadership qualities as an individual as well. I believe Toastmaster Mayuri is back with us. Toastmaster Mayuri, can you share the last poll with the participants? While we get the poll ready, I see a question in the panel from Toastmaster Manisha. Is making agenda, compiling the agenda a main task of the VP Ed? Who can help in this task? For me personally, I do think that it is a main task that VP Education does have to handle, because when you're setting, when you're deciding on who makes speeches, who is coming to your club as an educational presenter, it's very important for it to be planned according to a structure and according to a strategic approach, so that you're meeting the learning needs of your members, and also you're meeting the goals that you have set for your club as well. So it's very important for the VP Education to at least be involved in that process. If not doing it yourself, you can have your shadow team members or your let's say if you do have enough members, you can form your subcommittees. The president can have a subcommittee, the VP Education can have a subcommittee. You can have your committees working on those, or at least a shadow officer working on it. But I believe that as the VP Education, that should be one of the main things that you do work on, because each team has to add value to all members, and the only way that you can do that is to have a proper structure to properly identify the learning needs and the growth or the development needs of your members, and to plan your meetings accordingly. So I believe Toastmaster Mayuri has the poll for us now. Toastmaster Mayuri, can we have the last poll for the participants? Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Mayuri. Now the last question that I have for you is a sort of a recap on what we discussed. What leadership qualities do you get from experiencing the club president and VP Education positions in the EXCO? Option 1, understanding the needs of team members. Option 2, ability to plan goals and action plans. Option 3, how to resolve conflicts. Option 4, leading a team with purpose. Option 5, problem solving skills. Option 6, aligning a team around goals for value creation. And the last option, all of the above. So let's take a quick 5 seconds to give your answers for this poll, so that we can see what the audience feels is where the Toastmasters experience adds most value through the roles of club president or the VPE. So 2 seconds. Toastmaster Mayuri, can we have the results of the poll on the screen for everyone to see? Thank you, Toastmaster Mayuri. So a vast majority of the participants are saying all of the above. I agree with vast majority of you as well, because now me coming from an engineering background, my learning in management, I can proudly say, is from Toastmasters to a large extent. There is a lot of learning that I got on the job, but there was so much that I learned from the Toastmasters experience that definitely influenced the kind of leader that I am at my workplace, and the kind of manager that I am, or the how I approach managing any situation as an individual and as a professional as well. So I hope that this experience will add similar value to you. And with that, I would like to hand over controls back to DTM Lasni. Back to you, Lasni.
Thank you very much, DTM Yasangi, and I'm sure to all of us who were presidents and VPEs, even during our installations, when we were asked these questions by the installing officer, we would have said, yes, I do. But I really don't think we realize the gravity of how important it is, even when it comes to our professional career, and how it is relevant there as well. So thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi, for sharing light on that aspect. Now, dear members, we have finished with our sessions, but it's time for the Q&A segment of today's session. So I would like to invite distinguished Toastmaster Sayandan and distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi back on our screens. Now, we have this saying, right? If we don't have any questions, it's either two things. One, you understood everything, or you understood nothing at all. So we are going with, we hope you understood everything, and that is why we do not have much questions, but we do have a few questions that came up during the registration process. And if you still have any questions, it's not too late. You can put it up in the Q&A section on the bottom of your screen. It can be regarding pathways, the sessions that we had today about how the EXCO roles help with your career, and even the meeting roles. Now, let me first ask the first question from distinguished Toastmaster Sayandan. This was a question that came up from the registration, and that was, what are some qualities that make a good secretary? And what is the advice you could give for a new member who has just joined Toastmasters and been asked to take up the role of secretary? What would you tell them?
Okay, So talking of secretaries or PAs, some consider this as a low level or a not important job, but a good PA or a secretary can play a vital role, say for a PA to the secretary or a secretary to a senior manager, can play a lot of key roles. The key things are following up, reminding on things, and planning it out. So the key things would be planning how that the manager whom they serve or the secretarial role they play, if they can do a lot of involved in planning out meetings, planning the daily schedules, and following up. So if these two can do well, you will see those are the critical roles I would look at it in a PA or a secretary's role. I don't know I answered, but that would be my key answer coming up.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Sandhu. Just a small question I have for you when I was listening to that session. When it comes to club meetings, even we have sometimes the VPE thinking, we can't give the timer role to a senior member. We can't give the counter role to a senior member or something like that. There's this thing where there are like less important roles and the more important roles. So if you can just, break that.
I would say when we become seniors, we think it's not important, but it's very important, I think, for some of the seniors to play the sergeant-at-arms roles, because they are the people who is thoroughly disorganized should play that role. A person who can't manage the time should play timer's role. People who have so many R's and R's and so's and ands and pauses should play that. So by doing that also you learn, and those are important roles. So I made it a point. I think I have completed 13 years at Pinnacle. Now I'm counting the roles. I think there are about 13, out of which this year I have done 11. So I have asked my VP education to add the other 2 before the Toastmaster year ends. So I personally learn all that. So that's, there's nothing called senior, junior. It's all learning. And I think until your last breath, you keep learning. So there's nothing called big and important and big or small. That will be my answer.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Sandhu. Distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi, how did you manage to do educational projects of your own during the time you were a president?
That's actually a very interesting question, Lasni, because when I was club president of my home club, I was also the TLI chair, and TLI chair for Sri Lanka, and I also did my Toastmasters projects as well, because I had set a clear target for myself. And I think it's one of the main things that you have to do is to be very organized in what you do, have clear schedules, plan yourself ahead of time so that you don't have to compromise on anything that you want to do. The compromises happen when your schedule becomes overwhelming for you to handle. So the key to achieving all your targets is to have a proper plan, dedicate your time, assign your resources, know when to say no, and being as organized as you can. And I think also as the club president or the VP education, or especially in any exco role that you play, it's very important for us to lead by example, because if we are not doing any roles, it's very or rather, if you're not doing any projects, convincing other members to do projects or getting their buy-in to do projects is very difficult. So I think the exco should lead by example, and at least do one project per month. That gives you 4 weeks to plan for a project. So I think if you can take 30 minutes each day, or however you plan to allocate your time, it all comes down to how you plan your time and how organized you are in doing all the multiple things that you want to do.
All right. Thank you. Yasangi, just one more question. I think what this Toastmaster is trying to ask is, how do you be a dedicated VP for your club? Even, let me add to this question, right? Even during trying times, I'm sure as VPEs, we have come across these times where you just want to, just give up. But how do you continue throughout those 12 months to ensure that you give your best as the VPE, or in your words, as the CHRO?
I think it again comes down to your commitment. For me personally, I'm not willing to put my name on something where I don't give my 100%. So if you're taking on your role as the VP Education, I think you owe it to yourself to give it the best that you can. And you owe it to the club members because they have expectations from you to lead them and give them direction also. And I think dedication stems from how committed you are, and especially if you have seen the value of the program, you would want to share that value with someone else as well. So I think that dedication comes from your personal experience, because if you have seen your own seniors and how they have led the club, and how other clubs have fulfilled their roles as well, it inspires you to do your best as well. And I think it comes down to the people around you, because if you're surrounded by people who will tell you it doesn't matter, just do what you can, or like forget Toastmasters. So if you're surrounded by people who are constantly telling you to put Toastmasters or give Toastmasters the backseat, then you're inclined to do that as well. So I would say surround yourself with friends within the Toastmasters network who help you in achieving those roles. Because I want to I think appreciate the leadership of District 82 also, because when there was a lot happening in like when I was feeling overwhelmed and when I wanted to say no to specific roles, it's the leaders of District 82 who said take the role, we'll help you, and they fulfill their promise. So if you tell someone that you're going to help them, and don't be afraid to ask for help as well. If one person can't help, there's a whole network of other Toastmasters in District 82 who can help. So reach out, ask questions, ask the right questions, and get that network of support around you, so that being a dedicated role player becomes that much easier for you as well.
Thank you, DTM Yasanki, and I completely agree. It's the beauty of the fraternity, especially I think in District 82, we call it friends helping friends. And whenever you need something, you will always have someone to help you out with. And of course, you being the busy person you are, you still find time to come for all your club meetings and ensure that you make that commitment. I just have another question for DTM Sayandan. A member asks, is there a difference between visionary leadership and servant leadership? If so, kindly elaborate.
Okay. So visionary leadership all about is having a dream. This is where I am now. This is where I want to go. You see the big picture and you want to arrive there. So that is all about visionary leadership. It's all about from small, how you become big, or this is what I am now, this is what I want to be. It's all about visionary leadership. Servant leadership is totally different, and that's something we all should be. I feel the higher the position that you go, the more servant leadership methodology that you should adopt, because sometimes with our position, our heads also become very big, especially what's in between our ears. So then comes the ego. Then you get that I know everything attitude. You keep that away. Moment you get your position, you should become more humble. I am here to serve you. If you are the father of the house, don't say, hey, I am the father, I bring the money, shut up and listen. No, I am here to bring the children. I am responsible. Tell me what you want. That is servant leadership. If you are the principal of the school, I am the principal, all the teachers should listen to me. I am the don, all should stand up. You can do that? Or no, I am here to give you education. I am here to facilitate, give everything. Sometimes I see even club president. I am the president, I have the rule. No, I don't want to even listen to feedback. Who are you to tell? Hey, I am here to serve you. Let me serve. We come to learn. As a president, let me facilitate. So same in organization. I am the CEO. I have the power. Do it. Do it my way. Instead, hey, we have a goal to achieve. Let me help how to achieve. Right? It could be from the low level, from the security guard to the receptionist to any position. Can I help you to do my job better? So that is servant leadership. And if you practice servant leadership, your growth potentials will be very high, and you will be using your personal power than your positional power, where rest of the world will regard you as a legend for rest of your life. I hope I answered.
Yes, thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Sayandan. Our final question, I would like the both of you to share your thoughts on. because I think as Toastmasters, we all have something to share. Are there any learning tools to improve on how to organize thoughts to do a table topic? I think this is something that a lot of Toastmasters do get a little scared about when they have to do table topics. Like, how do I organize a speech impromptu, right? So if both of you very quickly just share a few tools that maybe you have used during your years as a Toastmaster to organize your thoughts during a table topic. So let me start with, we'll go with ladies first. Distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi.
I was actually going to ask DTM Sandhan to go first as he's more experienced in this. Sandhan, would you like to go first?
No problem. That itself is an impromptu. See, practically how I do is sometimes, especially in a competition, you're nervous and the topic is mentioned and all the time you have is from where you are till you walk into the center of the stage. So here, if you get the fear element into your head, your thoughts get blocked. So have confidence. Number one, you should be confident. And this is where, as I mentioned, even in my session, your knowledge on different areas help. But the key secret, I don't know, this is my secret. I have been not a table topics winner, but what I practice is the thought process. Related to the topic, whatever the thoughts, if you can put it in order and if you can spell it out, go for it. And in that, connect the audience and see whether there's any learning. Now, for example, yesterday out of the blues, I was driving and attending to the Smedley Toastmaster meeting. And all of a sudden, since I went after the long time, the table topic master said, so and then would you like to take a session? And the topics or the theme was something about dessert. The topic was how you live the moment, then counting calories. Then I started talking. I didn't know what to do. But then all of a sudden, I thought this is a COVID situation. I'm just telling what I did yesterday. COVID situation, counting moments, living your life is important. I quickly remembered those days my prayers were, I would like to be a better person. I need more money. I want a better family, all that. Asking, more. But with COVID, what taught me was, let me thank for the oxygen that I'm breathing. I'm not on a ventilator. Let me thank for the water that I'm drinking. I'm not on a saline. Let me thank for the food that I'm eating. I'm not given artificial nutrients through the IV or artificially given that. So I said with that, I concluded, live your moment, don't count the calorie. So it just came spur of the moment. So if you can add your thoughts and what comes, make it a speech, don't think much, but don't let the fear overcome you. Don't let the confidence lose. So those are my tips for table topics.
I think to add to what DTM Sandhan said, I want to share some tips that actually DTM Sriyanti shared with us when she came to our club one time. And she said usually there are patterns with table topics. So there might be topics where you have to take a stand. It's a either or situation. So be very clear and give your stance. And if you do have the time, give the other stance and give the two sides of the story and then give your stance. That is one way of tackling a topic. Or start with a story and then give your message. Or if it's a question, answer it and then do your story. I think there are a lot of different ways to tackle table topics, but the key is to develop your own style and what is comfortable to you. Like DTM Sandhan said, sometimes there's a thought process that helps you in ordering your ideas or organizing your ideas in a coherent speech that adds value to the audience members as well. Sometimes it's a chronological order, sometimes it's in the order that it actually comes to you, sometimes it's a stand like I just said, but the best tool that I can give is, I suppose, practice. The more practice that you have, the more that you come up with your own tools that work for you, because then it becomes a habit of nature where it comes to you naturally. So I would say the best tool that you can have for a table topic is practice.
Thank you very much, both of you. And if I can give in my 2 cents worth as well, don't overthink it, I believe, because sometimes when we go for our table topics, we tend to think of the topic literally and try to give out our best. But like both of you said, take a stand and be confident. We have just a small announcement before we go to the next question. We have one more question for DTM Yasangi. We will be posting the feedback link in the chat right now. So please do take some time to fill it out to help us to improve ourselves. We are big on evaluations and getting feedback, and we are here to serve you, and we want to give you the best quality programs in the future as well. DTM Yasangi said, know when to say no. Can you please elaborate? I think it's something with Sri Lankans. We find it very difficult to say no most of the time.
Yes, the tendency is to say no most of the time, but I think the Toastmasters, especially the Toastmasters that are here, are known for saying yes to everything. So sometimes when you do have a lot of professional commitments, when you do have a lot of personal commitments that you have as well, you need to kind of have your own system to prioritize. I was speaking about this at a couple of clubs recently. So a tool that I use to figure out when to say no. For example, if I'm invited to be a judge or invited to be a chief judge for a area or a club contest, or invited to visit a club, one of the first things that I look at is, am I replaceable in that slot? For example, if it's clashing with my club meeting, I believe that for my own club, I am not replaceable because the club has a limited membership, whereas another area contest or a club contest for someone else's club, they can always get members from somewhere else. So I feel my priority should be given to my own home club. So I will say no to another engagement if it's clashing with my own club. And if I'm required at home for a personal commitment, and if it is something that I feel is important, which is the second point, your replaceability and how important it is for you. If you feel it's something that is important for you, then give it priority. For example, if I'm invited to judge at Smedley or Ralph or one of the clubs like that, where just listening to the speeches is going to change your life, I am not going to say no to that. So that is how I rank my importance. And the last 2 points that I look at is your time and energy. So I use it as RITE. When to say right is if you're replaceable, how important it is for you, and your time and energy. Sometimes you might not have the time, and even if you have the time, sometimes you might not have the energy to sit through a meeting or sit through a certain commitment. So when you're prioritizing your commitments, have your own mechanism to figure out, is this something that I can commit to? Because if you commit, remember, you need to fulfill that commitment. Like I said, I don't want to put my name on something where I'm not giving my 100%. If that is the case, and if I feel that I will not be able to fulfill the commitment, I'd rather say no than to take it on and do a half-hearted job. So that is how I decide where I can say no and where I should say yes. So that in the limited resources that we have, we are trying to achieve multiple goals, and in doing that, we want to do as much as we can. In doing that, there are certain things that we do have to say no to, but if it's within your limits, if even if you're replaceable, even if it's not important for you, if you have the time and energy, if you feel that you can add value to someone else, say yes to that, because you never know how it can add value to you as well. Because every opportunity that you have, especially in Toastmasters, ends up teaching you life lessons that will stay with you. So that's just my 2 cents worth on when to say no.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank both of you, distinguished Toastmaster Yasangi and distinguished Toastmaster Sayandan, for 2 great sessions that really helped all our members, our guests who were present here. I know we had a few guests as well, and we are getting feedback that it was a great session that has really helped them to recognize the importance of even the smallest meeting role, or even the EXCO role as president. That will help them to become better leaders and better people, even in their career or in their personal life. So thank you very much to the 2 of you for taking time off to be here today to share your great experience with the members of District 82. Now, after listening to distinguished Toastmaster Sayandan, Now I keep looking at the clock. So without further ado, let me invite our program quality director, distinguished Toastmaster Shriyanti Salgado, to just speak a few words before we sign off.
Thank you, Lasni. Just speak a few words. I think everyone has spoken really to the point. I'm very happy that we've had another successful program from the PQD team. Just remember that we put a lot of thought before choosing what we have to do. We listen to you, we see what you need as well. And we have just one more program. And please do join us for that last final program. We have something very special for that as well. Just to pick up on a few points, just like what Yasangi said, just remember your club meeting is priority. And I would not say that if I will not lead by example. Whatever comes, I think Lasni will agree that I would definitely be there for club meetings. There are times that I go late for other things because my club meeting is very, very important. And remember that you gain a lot from your club meeting, whether it's a table topic or whether you play a role or whether you're the speaker or the evaluator, be there at the club. And that's how you gain improvement day in and day out. As the district director said, we have achieved 96 clubs are distinguished, but there's yet to go. We've not given up. We would like to see that all of you become distinguished. So please reach out to us and ask any help that you want from the PQD team. We will also be speaking to each and every club who especially needs our help. And let's all together start smiling on the 30th of June. Be safe till then. Over to you, Lasni.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Shriyanti. And at this moment, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Toastmaster Mayuri from Virtusa Toastmasters Club, our Zoom master for today and for a lot of our previous programs. Thank you so much for being the silent hero behind this program. And of course, the main organizer of this event, distinguished Toastmaster Hinston, for taking time to meticulously plan what our members will need, going through feedback and understanding what they need and ensuring that we provide them with what they need, what help they need. So thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Hinston, for your commitment. And I would like to take this opportunity again to thank our district director, distinguished Toastmaster Nurul Munawara, our program quality director, distinguished Toastmaster Shriyanti Salgado, and of course our club growth director, distinguished Toastmaster Nisa Virakon, for all their encouragement to help us serve you, our members of District 82. And of course, the biggest thank you to all of you for joining in on this Friday evening to learn more about how your EXCO role and your meeting role can help you become a better leader and a better communicator. With that, our next event will be in June, on the 4th of June, the first Friday, our final program for the year 2020-2021. And another small reminder to please fill the feedback form as well. And with that, I would like to wish all of you a good night and have a great weekend.